Okay, everyone, real talk. We need to have a conversation about ketchup. I know, it sounds random, but hear me out. Last week, I was having lunch with my friend Sarah, and she literally put ketchup on her salad. Like, her salad! And it got me thinking, what is this red stuff actually doing to our bodies? Because honestly, some of us are putting it on literally everything. So I went down this massive research rabbit hole. We're talking medical studies, nutrition data, the whole 9 yards. And what I found, it's actually pretty wild. Some of it's surprisingly good, some of it, well, let's just say we need to talk. So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into what really happens when we eat ketchup. Alright, so plot twist. Ketchup isn't the villain I thought it would be. At least not entirely. The main ingredient is tomatoes. And here's where it gets interesting. You know lycopene, that powerful antioxidant everyone's always talking about? Well, ketchup is actually packed with it. There was this study from Harvard School of Public Health back in 2004 that blew my mind. They found that women with higher levels of lycopene in their blood had a 50% lower risk of developing heart disease. 50%! Like, that's not a small number, that's huge. And here's the kicker. Processed tomatoes, like the ones in ketchup, actually have higher levels of lycopene than fresh tomatoes. I know, it sounds backwards, but the cooking process makes the lycopene more available for our bodies to absorb. So in a weird way, that bottle of Heinz might be giving you more antioxidants than that fresh tomato in your salad. The lycopene doesn't stop there either. Research shows it might help reduce the risk of certain cancers. We're talking bladder, lung, stomach, and cervical cancers. One study I found suggested that eating 2 or more servings of tomato-based products like ketchup per week could actually do more good than harm. But okay, before we all start chugging ketchup, like it's a health drink, we need to talk about the elephant in the room, sugar. Because honey, most commercial ketchups are basically liquid candy, with some tomato thrown in. Here's what shocked me. 1 tablespoon of regular ketchup has about 4 grams of sugar. That might not sound like much, but think about it. When was the last time you used just 1 tablespoon? Be honest, most of us are using way more than that. Especially if you're like my friend who drowns her fries. And it gets worse. A lot of commercial ketchups use high fructose corn syrup, which multiple studies have linked to some pretty scary stuff. Obesity, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and high triglyceride levels. Basically, all the things we definitely don't want. Then there's the sodium situation. We're looking at about 160 milligrams of sodium per tablespoon. Again, doesn't sound terrible until you realize you're probably using multiple tablespoons, and you're also getting sodium from everything else you're eating. So let's talk about who really needs to watch their ketchup intake. If you have diabetes or prediabetes, this is especially important for you. Ketchup has a medium glycemic index, which means it can cause your blood sugar to spike, especially if you're using a lot of it. Now, the American Diabetes Association does say that people with diabetes can have small amounts of sugar as part of a balanced meal plan, and many diabetics find that tiny amounts of ketchup don't significantly affect their blood sugar. But the key word here is small. We're talking like a teaspoon, not drowning your food in it. If you have high blood pressure, you also want to be careful because of that sodium content. When you're trying to keep your sodium intake under control, every milligram counts, and ketchup can add up fast. And if you're trying to lose weight or maintain a healthy weight, all that hidden sugar can sabotage your efforts without you even realizing it. Those extra calories from sugar can add up quickly, especially since ketchup doesn't make you feel full the way actual food does. Now, what happens if we just keep eating ketchup the way most of us do? Well, the long-term picture isn't great. If we're talking about regular, heavy consumption, first, weight gain. All that sugar adds up over time. Your body stores excess sugar as fat, and since ketchup sugar doesn't make you feel satisfied, you're basically consuming empty calories that can lead to gradual weight gain over months and years. Then there's the insulin resistance issue. When you're constantly hitting your body with sugar spikes from high fructose corn syrup, your insulin system starts to get worn out. Over time, this can lead to type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and all the complications that come with those conditions. Your cardiovascular system takes a hit too. High sodium intake over time can contribute to high blood pressure, and high sugar intake can mess with your cholesterol levels and increase inflammation in your blood vessels. But here's what's really sneaky. Ketchup might be contributing to something called palate fatigue. When you're constantly hitting your taste buds with that sweet-salty combo, you start needing more and more intense flavors to feel satisfied. This can lead to craving more processed foods and less appreciation for natural flavors. But here's where it gets interesting. Moderation might actually be key. Remember that lycopene we talked about? Some studies suggest that people who consume moderate amounts of tomato-based products, including ketchup, actually have better health outcomes than people who avoid them completely. There was this fascinating study on tomato ketchup and liver health that showed some protective effects against fatty liver disease. The antioxidants in tomatoes, even when they're in ketchup form, seem to help with fat metabolism and reducing inflammation. And for most healthy people, a small amount of ketchup really isn't going to hurt you. We're talking about a teaspoon or two, not half the bottle. Your body can handle small amounts of added sugar just fine, especially when it comes with some beneficial compounds like lycopene. So what's the bottom line? Ketchup isn't pure evil, but it's not a health food either. If you're healthy and you love ketchup, you don't have to eliminate it completely. Just be honest about how much you're using and try to stick to smaller amounts. Read your labels. Look for ketchups that use regular sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. Or better yet, ones with reduced sugar content. Some brands are making versions with 50% less sugar. And honestly, they still taste pretty good. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or you're trying to lose weight, you might want to measure out your ketchup instead of just squirting it freely. A teaspoon goes further than you think when you're being intentional about it. And remember, you can still get those awesome lycopene benefits from other tomato sources. Fresh tomatoes, tomato sauce with no added sugar. Even tomato juice can give you those antioxidants without all the extra stuff. Look, at the end of the day, life's too short to stress about every single thing we eat. But it's also worth being informed about what we're putting in our bodies, especially when it's something we use regularly. What do you think? Are you team ketchup or are you ready to dial it back a bit? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about your ketchup habits. And if you found this helpful, definitely stick around. Because next week we're talking about healthier ways to get your ketchup fix, plus some amazing alternatives that might surprise you. Until then, be kind to your body, and I'll see you in the next one.